The champagne glass shattered against marble, spraying crystal shards across polished floors. Security moved instantly, forming a human wall around the man at the center of the Seoul ballroom. But Michael Adefemi didn't flinch. He stood perfectly still, his dark suit immaculate, his expression carved from stone as politicians and business executives scattered like startled birds. Yoon Ji-eun watched from the corner, her wine untouched, her posture deliberately invisible. She hadn't wanted to come to this charity gala, networking events were performances she had grown tired of, rooms full of people pretending wealth equaled worth, connections equaled friendship, power equaled safety. But her business partner Hannah had insisted. New contracts required new faces, so here she stood, counting minutes until she could leave. The man they called Mike Adefemi commanded the room without trying. Tall enough to be noticed, still enough to be feared. He spoke Korean with perfect fluency, but something in his voice carried weight from elsewhere. A depth that didn't belong to Seoul's glass towers and neon nights. Nigerian-born, the whisper said, built an empire from survival, immigrated with nothing, now owned half the city's underground economy and enough legitimate businesses to make the name the mayor nervous. Ji-eun didn't care about power. She cared about patterns, and the pattern here was obvious. Everyone wanted something from Michael Adefemi, and he gave nothing away. However, what caught her attention wasn't the man, it was the child. A little girl sat alone near the dessert table, wearing a white princess dress that should have made her look innocent. But her eyes were wrong, too watchful, too still. She studied the room like a strategist, observing enemy territory, her small hands folded in her lap, her expression blank. 7 years old, maybe, and already carrying weight no child should know. Ji-eun recognized that look, because she had worn it herself once. The ballroom returned to controlled chaos, laughter too loud, conversations too careful. Security withdrew. Michael Adefemi accepted congratulations from men who feared him and handshakes from women who wanted him. His fiancée appeared at his side, elegant and smiling. Min Seo-rin, former television actress turned philanthropist, beautiful in the way Seoul valued, polished, graceful, practiced. The little girl watched her father and his fiancée with the same blank expression. Then she stood. She walked past politicians debating policy, past executives discussing measures, past security guards scanning for threats. She moved through the adult world like smoke, unnoticed and unbothered. Until she stopped directly in front of Ji-eun. "May I sit here?" Her Korean was perfect. Her voice was steady. Ji-eun gestured to the empty chair. "Of course." The girl sat with careful posture, ankles crossed, hands folded, like she had been trained, like everything about her existence had been rehearsed. "You're not enjoying the party," the girl observed. "Neither are you," Ji-eun answered. A flicker of something crossed the girl's face. Recognition, maybe, or relief at being seen. "My name is Zara Adefemi," she said quietly. "What's yours?" "Yoon Ji-eun." "You work in business consulting." It wasn't a question. Ji-eun raised an eyebrow. "How did you know?" "I heard you talking to the woman in the blue dress earlier. You were explaining contract negotiations." Zara paused. You're good at reading people. So are you. Zara's expression didn't change, but her eyes sharpened. She glanced across the ballroom toward her father, then back at Ji-eun. Can I tell you something? Yes. You won't believe me. Try me, Ji-eun said. Then Zara leaned closer, her voice dropping to barely a whisper. My father is being poisoned. The words landed like stones in still water. Ji-eun's heart rate spiked, but she kept her face neutral, professional, calm. That's a serious accusation. I know. Zara's hands tightened in her lap. The woman beside him, she continued, means Seoul. She adds something to his tea every morning. A clear liquid from a small silver vial. I've watched her do it 17 times. Ji-eun studied his child's face. No trembling, no tears, no dramatic emotion. Just factual delivery. Like reporting weather patterns. Have you told anyone? Ji-eun asked. I told my father. Zara's voice cracked just slightly. He said I was being jealous, that I didn't want him to remarry, that children sometimes imagine things. Do you imagine things? No. The word was absolute, final. Ji-eun glanced across the room. Michael Adefemi stood in conversation with Seoul's deputy mayor. His posture relaxed, his expression unreadable. Seoul laughed at something someone said, her hand resting slightly on his arm. The picture of devoted partnership. Why are you telling me this? Ji-eun asked carefully. Zara met her eyes directly. Because I need someone to know, in case something happens. The weight of that statement settled between them. A 7-year-old preparing for her father's death just because no one would listen. You're not asking me to help him, Ji-eun said slowly. No, Zara said with her voice steady again. I just need someone to believe me. So when he dies, someone will know it wasn't natural. Ji-eun felt something crack open in her chest. This wasn't a child seeking rescue. This was a strategist creating insurance, documentation, a witness. Zara! Seorin's voice cut through the noise, bright and warm. She approached with practiced grace, smiling. Oh, there you are, sweetheart. Your father's been looking for you. Zara stood immediately, her expression shifting to something pleasant and empty. I was just talking to Miss Yoon about her work. Seorin's smile never wavered, but her eyes assessed Ji-eun with surgical precision. How lovely. Come now. It's almost time to go home. Zara turned back to Ji-eun. For just a moment her mask slipped. Desperation flickered across her young face. Silent, drowning, desperate. Then she was gone, walking beside Seorin toward the exit where her father waited. Ji-eun sat alone, her wine still untouched, her mind racing. A child's imagination, jealousy over a new stepmother, attention-seeking behavior. All reasonable explanations. But Ji-eun had spent 15 years reading people for a living, detecting lies in contract negotiations, identifying manipulation in corporate politics, and everything about Zara Adefemi's delivery screamed truth. She pulled out her phone and opened a new note, typed quickly, Zara Adefemi, 7 years old, claims father being poisoned by fiancé, means Seorin, clear liquid, silver vial, morning tea, 17 occurrences. She stared at the words. This wasn't her world. Mafia politics, underground empires, deadly power games. Getting involved would be insane, dangerous, potentially fatal. But a 7-year-old girl had looked at her with eyes that had already accepted her father's death, and Ji-eun couldn't walk away from that. She stood, smoothing her dress, and made her way through the thinning crowd toward the exit. Outside, Seoul's night air was cold and sharp. Luxury cars lined the street, drivers waiting patiently. She spotted the Adefemi vehicle, a black armored SUV with tinted windows. Zara sat in the back seat, visible for just one moment before the door closed. Their eyes met through the glass. Zara didn't smile, didn't wave. She just pressed her small hand against the window. A farewell. Or a plea. Ji-eun watched the vehicle disappear into Seoul traffic, carrying a Mafia kingpin, his poisoner fiancée, and a child who knew too much. She pulled out her phone and called Hannah. How was the gala? Hannah's voice was bright, curious. I need information, Ji-eun said quietly, about elite domestic placement agencies. Silence on the other end. And then, what kind of information? The kind that gets people hired into high security households. Ji-eun, I know what I'm doing, she interrupted. Do you? Hannah's voice sharpened, because this sounds like you're about to do something incredibly stupid. Ji-eun looked at the note on her phone. 17 occurrences. Probably, she admitted, but I need your help anyway. Hannah sighed. You are going to get yourself killed. Maybe. Ji-eun started walking toward the parking garage. But then, a 7-year-old just told me that father is being murdered and nobody's listening. So I am going to make them listen. How? Hannah asked. Ji-eun's reflection stared back at her from the dark window. Professional, composed, completely unprepared for what she was about to do. I am going to walk in his house. Imperial Crest Household Services occupy the 15th floor of a gleaming tower in Gangnam. The reception area was deliberately intimidating. White marble, minimalist furniture, silence so complete it felt like a test. Ji-eun had spent 3 days preparing for this interview, reframing her business consulting background into domestic management experience, emphasizing discretion, attention to detail, multilingual capabilities, and international exposure. The woman across the desk studied Ji-eun's fabricated resume with eyes that missed nothing. Kim Min-jae, Senior Placement Director, 60 years old, silver hair pulled into a severe bun, expression carved from eyes. You've never worked in private household management, Min-jae stated flatly. No, Ji-eun admitted, but have managed corporate executives who required absolute discretion, anticipated needs before they were voiced, and operated in high-pressure environments where mistakes weren't tolerated. Corporate executives do not live in their offices. Some do. Ji-eun kept her tone even. The skills translate. Pattern recognition, anticipating requirements, invisible efficiency. Min-jae set down the resume. Then why this career change? Ji-eun had prepared for this question, so the lie came smoothly. Burnout. Corporate consulting consumed my life. I want work that matters but doesn't own me. Private household work owns you completely. Differently, Ji-eun said, meeting her gaze. Corporations are performances. Everyone pretending hierarchies matter more than humanity. I'd rather serve one family well than 50 clients poorly. Something shifted in Min-jae's expression. Not warmth, because this woman didn't do warm, but consideration. We have one immediate placement available, she said carefully. High security household, international family, very strict protocols, no questions, no personal relationships, Complete discretion required. Ji-eun's pulse quickened. What family? Min Jae's smile was thin. If you're selected, you'll be informed. First, we verify your background extensively. Criminal record check, financial history, personal references, psychological evaluation. How long does verification take? Ji-eun asked. Normally 6 weeks, replied Min Jae, studying her again. But this placement is urgent. We could expedite to 72 hours if you pass preliminary screening. 3 days. Zara had watched Poison added 17 times. How many more will there be? I'm available immediately, Ji-eun said. The verification process was brutal. Invasive questions about family history, financial stability, relationship status, criminal background, a polygraph test that made her palms sweat, psychological assessments designed to identify instability, aggression, dishonesty. She passed everything. On the 4th day, Min Jae called. You've been selected for the Adefemi household. You begin tomorrow morning at 6. A driver will collect you. Suddenly, Ji-eun's apartment felt too small, too safe. She stood at the window overlooking Seoul's gridling chaos and wondered if she had just signed her own death warrant. Her phone buzzed. Hannah. Please tell me you changed your mind. I start tomorrow. Ji-eun, I know what I'm doing. Do you? You're infiltrating a Mafia kingpin's house based on a 7-year-old's accusation. That's not knowing what you're doing. That's suicidal. Ji-eun closed her eyes. What would you do? Huh? What would you do if a child told you someone was dying and nobody believed her? Silence stretched between them. Then Hannah's voice, quieter. I'll probably do something equally stupid. Exactly. Just promise me something. What? If this goes wrong, if you disappear, I need a signal. Something that tells me that you're in trouble. Ji-eun thought for a moment. If I send you a photo of yellow flowers, call the police. Tell them everything. Yellow flowers, got it. Hannah paused. Be careful. Always, Ji-eun responded. And the call ended. Ji-eun packed a small bag. Conservative clothing, minimal makeup, nothing personal. She looked at herself in the mirror. Tomorrow she would enter a world where mistakes meant death, where a child carried the weight of murder, where a man built from survival wouldn't hesitate to destroy threats. She should be terrified, and she was. But she was also furious, because somewhere in Seoul, a 7-year-old was watching her father die, and the adults around had decided that her truth was just imagination. Ji-eun wouldn't make that mistake. The Adefemi estate sat behind walls that could stop military assault. 3 security checkpoints, cameras everywhere, guards who moved with military precision. The mansion itself was modern and cold. Glass, steel, sharp lines. Beautiful in the way weapons were beautiful. Functional, lethal. A woman in her 60s met Ji-eun at the service entrance. Madame Choi, head housekeeper. Her expression suggested she had seen everything and had been impressed by nothing. Rules, she said without preamble. No eye contact with Mr. Adefemi unless he addresses you directly. No questions about family matters. No personal conversation with staff or family. No photographs. No phone calls within the house. No entering private quarters without explicit permission. Ji-eun nodded. Understood. Your duties include morning preparation, meal service coordination, and general household maintenance in the East Wing. You will not engage with Miss Zara unless specifically instructed. The mention of Zara's name made Ji-eun's chest tighten. Eventually, she replied, "Of course. Staff quarters are separate. Meals are provided. Days off are scheduled monthly." Madam Choi's eyes narrowed. This is not a normal household. Discretion isn't optional. It is survival. Understand? Yes, she replied. Yes, I do understand. Madam Choi led her through corridors that felt more like corporate offices than homes. Everything was pristine, sterile, carefully controlled. Other staff moved silently, efficiently, like well-programmed machines. Morning routine begins at 5:30, Madam Choi explained. Mr. Adefemi tea service is at 6, precisely. Miss Seorin oversees preparation personally. Ji-eun's attention sharpened. Miss Seorin prepares the teas herself? Madam Choi's expression hardened. She supervises to ensure quality. I see, Ji-eun responded. They passed the sitting room where Zara sat reading, her posture perfect, her expression blank. She glanced up as they walked by. For one fraction of a second, her eyes met Ji-eun's. No recognition, no acknowledgement. Just a pause so brief it might have been imagined. Then her gaze returned to her book. Ji-eun's heart hammered. The child was pretending, protecting them both. Wow. That's Miss Zara, Madame Choi said unnecessarily. She's extremely intelligent, advanced for her age. Do not attempt to engage unless she initiates. Understood, Ji-eun replied. Her quarters were small but comfortable. A bed, a dresser, a single window overlooking the garden. She unpacked quickly, then sat on the edge of the bed and exhaled slowly. She was inside. Now came the dangerous part. The first 3 days, Ji-eun observed everything. Staff rotations, security patterns, camera placements. The rhythm of the household operated like machinery, precise, predictable, controlled. Michael Adefemi was rarely home during daylight hours. When he was present, he moved through the house like a storm system, powerful, contained, impossible to ignore. Staff scattered before him. Even Madame Choi deferred instantly. But with Zara, something shifted. His voice softened, his movements slowed. He crouched to her level, listened carefully when she spoke, kissed her forehead before leaving. He loved his daughter completely. But he had no idea she was watching him die. Seorin appeared, warm, gracious, attentive. She smiled at staff, remembered their names, asked about their families. The performance was flawless. But Ji-eun watched her eyes, always calculating, always measuring, always performing. The tea ritual happened at 6 every morning. Seorin would enter the kitchen, greet staff pleasantly, then personally oversee preparation. She used the specific teapot, specific cups, and she always went to a locked drawer in the corner cabinet. On the fourth morning, Ji-eun volunteered to assist. I can help with service, if needed, she offered Madame Choi. Miss Seorin prefers to handle it personally. Of course, I just thought, do not think. Madame Choi's voice was ice. Do as instructed. But Ji-eun had positioned herself near the cabinet, had watched carefully. Seorin's hand went to the locked drawer. A small key from her pocket. Quick movement. A silver vial. Clear liquid added to the tea while her body blocked the view. 17 occurrences, Zara had said. Ji-eun had just witnessed number 18. That evening, she walked the garden after dark. Near the eastern wall, she found loose stones. She carefully removed one, creating a small cavity. Inside, she placed a sealed plastic bag. Tomorrow, she would collect residue from the discarded tea leaves. Evidence. Proof. Survival. On the 5th night, she encountered him. Ji-eun had stayed late, reorganizing storage as requested. The house was quiet. Staff retired. Security on night rotation. She moved through the hallway towards her quarters when a door opened ahead. Michael stood in the doorway of his private study, holding a glass of whiskey, wearing casual clothes that somehow made him more intimidating than his suit. He looked at her, really looked, not the way employers looked at staff, rather the way predators looked at anomalies. "You're the new hire," he said in Korean. His voice carried that same depth she had noticed at the gala, something underneath the language that didn't really belong to Seoul. "Yes, sir." "From where?" he asked. "Business consulting, career change," she answered. His eyes narrowed. Why would a business consultant want to clean houses? Jane kept her expression neutral. Burnout. Too many clients who valued profit over people. And you think working here is different? I think serving one family well is better than serving 50 families poorly. He studied her with unnerving intensity. Silence stretched between them, not uncomfortable, but weighted, assessing. "You do not belong here," he said finally. The words weren't accusation. They were observation. Ji-eun met his gaze directly. "Neither do you." His eyebrows raised fractionally. "Excuse me?" "You built everything from survival, immigration, struggle, nothing handed to you." She shouldn't be saying this. She shouldn't reveal she knew anything. But something in his eyes pulled truth forward, beckoned to truth, like a mother beckons her child. This mansion, these walls, they are protection, but they do not fit you. Silence, complete, dangerous. Then Michael smiled, not warm, not friendly, but real. "Careful," he said quietly. "Honesty in this house is suicidal." "So is poison," Ji-eun replied. The words left her mouth before she could stop them. His expression froze. The air between them crystallized. "What did you say?" Ji-eun's heart hammered. She had revealed too much, pushed too far. But right now, retreat was impossible. "Your daughter sees more than you think," she said carefully. "Maybe you should listen." His hand tightened on the glass. "Get out!" "Sir, now!" he continued. She walked away, feeling his eyes burning into her back. That night, she texted Hannah a photo of yellow flowers from the garden, just in case. Ji-eun didn't sleep. She lay in her small bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying every conversation with Michael Adefemi. She had broken every rule, revealed too much, pushed boundaries that should never be tested in a house built on silence and survival. By morning, she expected termination. Instead, nothing happened. Madam Troy's wake-up call came at 5:30 as usual. Morning duties proceeded normally. The tea ritual occurred precisely at 6. Seoul graceful and smiling. The locked drawer opened smoothly. Clear liquid added while she hummed softly. Ji-eun collected the discarded tea leaves after service ended. Carefully sealed them in a plastic bag. Hid them in the garden wall cavity with the others. 3 samples now. enough for laboratory analysis. She just needed to survive long enough to deliver them. Days passed in careful routine. Ji-eun avoided Michael Adefemi completely. When he entered rooms, she became invisible. When he passed in hallways, she studied floors. Professional, forgettable, safe. But Zara watched her constantly. Not obviously. The child was too smart for that. But Ji-eun felt those careful eyes tracking her movements, measuring her actions, calculating her trustworthiness. On the 8th day, Zara finally approached. Ji-eun was arranging flowers in the main sitting room when small footsteps entered. She didn't turn. "Those are pretty," Zara said quietly. "Thank you, Miss Zara." "Yellow roses, they mean friendship." Ji-eun's hands stilled. Yellow flowers, the signal to Hannah. Had Zara seen the photo? Impossible. Staff phones were locked during work hours. "Do they?" Ji-eun kept her voice neutral. "Yes." Zara moved closer, studying the arrangement. "My mother liked yellow roses before she died." And this was the first time anyone had mentioned Zara's biological mother. Ji-eun finally looked at the child and said, "I'm sorry for your loss." "It was 3 years ago, car accident." Zara's tone was factual, but something underneath trembled. "My father hasn't been the same since." Grief changes people. So does loneliness. Zara reached out, touching a petal gently. "He wants to move forward, to give me a mother again. But wanting something doesn't make it right." Ji-eun crouched to Zara's level. Around them, the house was temporarily empty. Staff rotation, security check. Seoul at a luncheon, rare privacy. "You tried to tell him," Ji-eun said softly. "He didn't listen." Zara's eyes filled with tears she refused to shed. "Adults never listen to children, even smart ones." "But I'm listening," Ji-eun said. "I know." Zara's voice cracked. "That's why I'm scared." "Of what?" "That you die too. That she will know you believe me and make you disappear." The child's hands clenched into small fists. "Everyone I love gets hurt." Ji-eun wanted to promise safety, to swear protection, but lies wouldn't help this child. "I'm being careful," she said instead. "I am documenting everything, building evidence, and when I have enough, I'll make people listen." What if there isn't enough time?" Zara asked. And this question hung between them. A 7-year-old contemplating timelines of death with strategic precision. "Then I'll move faster," Ji-eun promised. Footsteps approached. Zara's expression shifted instantly. Tears vanished. Posture straightened. Mask descended. Seoul appeared in the doorway, elegant in a cream suit, smiling warmly. "There you are, sweetheart. I've been looking everywhere." I was admiring the flowers," Zara said pleasantly. Seoul's eyes moved to Ji-eun, assessing, calculating. "They are beautiful. You have excellent taste." She placed a hand on Zara's shoulder. "Come now. Your tutor is waiting." Zara walked away without looking back. Seoul lingered, studying the yellow roses. "Friendship," she said softly. "How appropriate for new staff." "Ma'am?" Ji-eun asked. "Nothing." That smile again, warm, practiced, empty. Just thinking about symbols, how what we choose to display says so much about our intentions. Seorin continued. She left, her heels clicking against the marble. Ji-eun's hands trembled as she finished the arrangement. The message was clear. You are being watched. That night, everything changed. Ji-eun was in the kitchen preparing evening tea service when the first gunshot shattered glass. Alarm screamed. Security radios erupted in Korean and English. Staff scattered like birds before thunder. Madam Choi grabbed Ji-eun's arm, dragging her towards the service corridor. Basement, now. What's happening? Attack. Move. But Ji-eun, she pulled free and asked, "Where is Zara?" "Not your concern." Another gunshot. Closer. Men shouting. The doors of the estate having sounds being breached. Ji-eun ran towards the private wing, ignoring Madam Choi's screams. The main hallway was chaos. Security engaging armed intruders. Muzzle flashes painting walls, smoke filling air. She spotted Zara frozen on the staircase, small hands gripping the railing, eyes wide with terror. "Zara!" she shouted. The child's head turned, relief and fear poured across her face. Ji-eun sprinted forward, grabbed her, pulled her down just as bullets shot through the wall where she had been standing. "Don't look," Ji-eun whispered, covering Zara's eyes. "Do not look." Movement in the peripheral vision. A man in black tactical gear, weapon raised, moving toward them with lethal intent. Instinct overrode thought. Ji-eun's body remembered training she hadn't used in years. Self-defense courses during university. Krav Maga lessons when Seoul felt dangerous. Muscle memory buried under years of corporate politeness. She moved, grabbed the attacker's weapon arm, used his own momentum against him, drove her elbow into his throat. He dropped, gasping. She took his weapon, unfamiliar weight, cold metal, survival too. Another attacker rounded the corner. Ji-eun fired. The recoil shocked her. The man went down. She had just killed someone. No time to process, no time to break. And Zara clung to her, shaking violently. "Stay behind me," Ji-eun commanded. They moved through smoke and chaos towards the study. Michael Adefemi was there. She was certain. Fighting, surviving, doing what men like him did when violence came home. She kicked open the study door. And Michael, he fought 3 men simultaneously. Brutal, efficient, terrifying. He moved like violence itself. Every strike calculated. Every motion lethal. But he was bleeding. Outnumbered. Slowing. Ji-eun didn't think. She aimed. Fired. One attacker dropped. Michael's head snapped toward her. Shock breaking through combat focus. She fired again. Another attacker fell. The third tried to flee. Michael caught him, ended him quickly, then collapsed against his decks, breathing hard. Blood soaked his shirt. Multiple wounds, not fatal yet, but close. "You!" he gasped, staring at Ji-eun. "You're business consultant," she finished. With extracurricular skills, she added. Zara broke fear and ran to her father. "Papa!" He caught her with his good arm, pressing her face to his chest to block the bodies. "I'm okay, baby. I'm okay," he gasped. Security flooded in, weapons raised, shouting clearance codes. The attack was over. 6 dead attackers, 2 dead guards. Michael wounded. Ji-eun's hand shaking uncontrollable. Weapon still in her grip. A security captain gently removed the gun from her fingers. "Ma'am, you need to come with us." "She stays," Michael said, his voice carrying absolute authority despite blood loss. "She saved my daughter, so she stays." The captain hesitated, then nodded. Paramedics arrived. Michael refused transport. "Treat me here," he said. "I'm not leaving my daughter." Zara wouldn't release him. Her small body trembled against his chest, silent sobs shaking her shoulders. Ji-eun stood apart, mind spinning. She had killed 2 people. She had moved through violence like breathing. Years of buried training had surfaced the moment the child needed protection. Michael's eyes found hers across the chaos. Who are you really? Someone who keeps promises, she said quietly. 2 hours later, the house was secured, bodies removed, blood cleaned, police paid off. Because men like Michael Adefemi didn't call law enforcement. They called cleaners. Ji-eun sat in the kitchen, hands wrapped around tea she couldn't drink. Adrenaline crash had left her hollow, shaking, trying to process that she had killed human beings. Madam Choi appeared, her expression softer than Ji-eun had ever seen. Mr. Adefemi requests your presence in the study. Ji-eun followed on unsteady legs. Michael sat behind his desk, bandaged but alive. Zara slept on the sofa nearby, finally exhausted into unconsciousness. He studied Ji-eun with new eyes. Business consulting doesn't teach close quarters combat. No. So where did you learn to fight like that? University self-defense courses, Krav Maga training. Seoul can be dangerous for women alone. That wasn't basic self-defense. That was military-grade response. Ji-eun met his gaze. My father was special forces before he died. He taught me things normal fathers don't teach daughters. She said, he taught me that the world was dangerous, that being small didn't mean being helpless. Truth finally, pieces of herself she had buried under professional polish. Michael leaned back, wincing. You're not here for housekeeping. No, she said. Why are you really in my house? Ji-eun glanced at Zara's sleeping form. Because your daughter asked someone to believe you. And I did. Silence stretched. Michael's expression shifted through confusion, realization, then something that looked like grief. The poison, he whispered. 17 times, she said. I have witnessed 4 more myself. Show me, Michael asked. Ji-eun retrieved her hidden samples from the garden, presented sealed bags containing tea residue. I need laboratory analysis, toxicology screening, proof. Michael stared at the evidence, physical manifestation of his daughter's truth that he had dismissed as jealousy. She told me, he said, voice breaking. She tried to warn me. She's 7 years old and watching you die. She shouldn't have to carry that alone. He pressed his hands to his face. I didn't believe her. My own daughter. And you can still fix this. He looked up, eyes red. How? Get this analyzed, confirm what's happening, then decide what to do about the woman poisoning you. Michael stood, moving to where Zara slept. He brushed hair from her face with infinite gentleness. She's all I have, he whispered. After her mother died, Zara became my entire world. I thought giving her a new mother would heal us. Instead, I invited death into our home. If you didn't know, I should have listened. His hand trembled against his daughter's cheek. I should have believed her. Ji-eun moved closer. You can believe her now. He turned, and for the first time, Michael Adefemi looked vulnerable, human, afraid. I need these analyzed immediately, discreetly. He held up the samples. Can you stay until we know? Yes, she answered. Why? This isn't your fight. Ji-eun looked at Zara and said, it became my fight the moment a child asked me to remember her father existed. Before he disappeared. Michael's jaw tightened. He moved to his desk, made 3 phone calls in rapid Korean, arranged laboratory analysis, private toxicology team, results within 12 hours. Then he turned back to Ji-eun. "You saved my life tonight, and my daughter's." "You're welcome," she said. "I do not trust easily," he said. "Neither do I," she replied. "But I am trusting you now," he paused. "Do not make me regret it," he said. "I won't," she replied. He gestured to the sofa. "Stay here tonight. Guard her. I'll have security posted outside. But you want someone inside who is proven they would act," she interrupted. "Yes," he replied. Ji-eun settled into the chair across from where Zara slept. Michael moved to his desk, pulling out weapons, checking ammunition, preparing for whatever came next. Outside, Seoul's night continued. Traffic and neon and ordinary chaos. Inside, a Mafia kingpin prepared for war while his daughter slept, and a business consultant turned bodyguard kept watch. And somewhere in the mansion, a poisoner planned her next move. Laboratory results arrived at dawn via encrypted courier. Michael opened the sealed envelope with hands that betrayed nothing. But Ji-eun saw the tension in his shoulders, the way his jaw tightened as he read. Zara had woken an hour earlier, refused to leave her father's side. She sat on the sofa now, watching him with those 2 old eyes, waiting for confirmation of what she'd known all along. Michael set down the report, looked at his daughter. "You were right." Zara's expression didn't change. No triumph, no relief, just exhausted validation. "What is it?" Ji-eun asked quietly. "Thallium sulfate." Michael's voice was flat, controlled fury beneath professional calm. Odorless, tasteless, dissolves completely in hot liquid, and causes gradual organ failure that mimics natural disease progression. 3 to 6 months until fatal damage becomes irreversible. "How long have you been ingesting it?" "Based on trace accumulation in the samples, approximately 10 weeks. 10 weeks of daily poisoning. 70 days of slow death while his fiancée smiled and planned their wedding." Zara spoke, her voice small. "I tried to tell you." Michael crossed to her, knelt before his daughter, took her small hands in his larger ones. "I know, baby. I know. And I am sorry. I should have listened. I should have believed you." "Why didn't you?" she asked, not with accusation, but genuinely asking. "Because I was lonely. Because I wanted you to have a mother. Because I let wanting something make me blind to what was real." His voice cracked. "I failed you." "You're believing me now," Zara whispered. "That's what matters." He pulled her into his arms, holding her like she was the only solid thing in a collapsing world. "I am so sorry. I am so sorry." Ji-eun looked away, giving them privacy. Outside, morning light painted Seoul in gold and shadow. Inside, a father confronted how close he had come to leaving his own daughter orphaned. When Michael finally released Zara, his expression had shifted. The vulnerability was gone, and what replaced it was something colder, harder, lethal.
Where is Seoul? He asked. Morning charity event, Ji-eun answered. She left 2 hours ago. She won't return until this evening. Good. He stood, moving to his desk with predatory purpose. That gives us time. Time for what? Ji-eun asked. To arrange her permanent departure. Zara's eyes widened. Papa? She tried to kill me, baby. She would have succeeded. Would have left you alone. His voice was ice wrapped in rage. People who threaten my daughter do not get mercy. But if she disappears, there will be questions, Ji-eun said carefully. Investigations. Attention you do not want. Michael's smile was dangerous. You don't know how these things work. Then explain it to me. He studied her. Really studied her. Measuring something. In my world, problems disappear quietly. No police, no trials, no evidence, just gone. And you think that's the answer? Yeah, she asked. It's always been the answer, he replied. Ji-eun moved closer. You're angry, betrayed. You want her erased. I understand that. But Zara doesn't need to watch her father become a killer. I have always been a killer. Matter of fact, no shame. Not in front of her, you haven't. Ji-eun glanced at Zara, who sat frozen, processing her father's words. She's 7 years old. She needs safety, not violence. There are other ways. Like what? He said. Like evidence, documentation, making her face legal consequences. Michael laughed. Bitter, sharp. You think the law touches people like Seoul? She's connected, protected, wealthy. The justice system is a game she knows how to play. Then we changed the game. Ji-eun pulled out her phone. I documented everything. Times, dates, methods, toxicology reports, chain of custody for samples. Everything needed for prosecution. Prosecution takes months, years. Meanwhile, she walks free, he said. What if she's arrested immediately? Held without bail, isolated from her connections. On what grounds? He asked. Attempted murder of a high-profile business figure. Endangerment of a minor. Conspiracy to commit fraud. She inherits if you die, doesn't she? Michael's eyes narrowed. She's named in my will. Significant assets. Motive. Ji-eun's mind walked through the angles, falling back into strategic thinking. We present evidence to prosecutors. Show them an attempted murder with clear financial motive. They will move fast to secure the arrest. You've got too much faith in the system, he said. I have faith in documentation, she said, meeting his gaze. And I have faith that you want your daughter to see justice, not just revenge. Silence filled the study. Michael looked at Zara, who watched him with desperate hope. Please, Papa, she whispered. Not like that, not where I can see. Something in him broke. The cold fury cracked, revealing the father beneath the kingpin. Okay, he said quietly. We do it your way. But if the system fails, it won't. How can you be sure? Because I won't let it. Ji-eun's voice carried absolute certainty. I promised your daughter I would make people listen. I keep my promises. The arrest happened at 7 that evening. Seoul returned from a charity event to find police waiting, arrest warrant in hand, prosecutors flanking them with briefcases full of evidence. She maintained perfect composure, smiled graciously, asked what this was about. Then they read the charges: attempted murder, conspiracy, fraud. Her smile finally cracked. This is absurd. Michael, tell them. But Michael stood behind the prosecutors, Zara at his side, his expression carved from stone. Tell them what? He asked. That you've been poisoning me for 10 weeks? That my daughter tried to warn me and I didn't listen? That you plan to inherit everything I own after I died? Seoul's eyes darted to Zara. You little don't! Michael's voice dropped to lethal quiet. Do not speak to my daughter. Do not look at her. Do not even think about her. The lead prosecutor stepped forward. Min Seoul, you are under arrest. You have the right to remain silent. The rest blurred into legal procedure. Handcuffs, rights read in calm Korean. Seoul's perfect mask finally shattering as she realized the game was over. As they led her away, she looked back at Michael. You won't survive without me, she blurted. I survived before you, he said. I'll survive after. The door closed. Silence settled. Zara pressed her face against her father's side, trembling. Is it over? The arrest is over. The trial will take months. Michael crouched to her level, but she can't hurt us anymore. She can't reach you. You promise? I promise. Zara finally cried. Not silent tears, but loud, gasping sobs of relief. Her father held her, whispering assurances in Korean and Yoruba. His own eyes wet. Ji-eun stood apart, giving them space. This wasn't her moment. Her job was done. She had infiltrated the Mafia household, documented the poisoning, saved the child's father, killed 2 men in combat, changed the trajectory of lives she had known only for weeks. Now came the hard part. Walking away. 3 days later, Ji-eun prepared to leave. Her contract with Imperial Crest was dissolved with a generous severance and non-disclosure agreement. Her apartment waited. Her business consulting career could resume. Normal life beckoned. She packed her small bag in the staff quarters, trying not to think about Zara's smile, or Michael's quiet gratitude, or how this house had briefly felt like purpose. A knock interrupted her thoughts. Zara stood in the doorway, holding a yellow rose. You're leaving, she said. Yes, because the danger is over? No, because you're safe now. You do not need me anymore. Zara moved closer, studying Ji-eun's face with that same unsettling perception. I do not need protection, yes, but I need friends. Ji-eun's throat tightened. You have friends? Not like you, not people who believe me. Zara held out the rose. Yellow means friendship. Remember, you taught me that. I thought you already knew flower meanings. I did, but you're the first person who showed me what the friendship actually feels like. Zara's eyes filled with tears. Please don't go. Ji-eun knelt, taking the rose carefully. I have to. This isn't my world. Your father's life, this house. It's not where I belong. Papa said the same thing, that you don't belong here. He's right. But he also said that you saved his life and mine, and that belonging isn't about where you fit. It's about where you're valued. Ji-eun smiled despite the ache in her chest. You are too smart for 7 years old. Papa says that too, Zara paused. He wants to see you, before you go, in his study. Michael stood at the window overlooking Seoul, hands in his pockets, posture deliberately casual, but tension radiated from his shoulders. You asked to see me. Ji-eun said from the doorway. Close the door. She did. Moved into the study where everything had changed, where violence had erupted, where truth had been confirmed, where a father had chosen justice over revenge. I owe you everything, Michael said without turning. My life, my daughter's peace. Have faith in me. You don't owe me anything. I did what needed doing. You did what no one else would. He finally turned, and his expression was unguarded, vulnerable, including me. You were grieving, lonely. She exploited that. She almost won. His voice roughened. If Zara hadn't told you, if you hadn't listened, if you hadn't infiltrated my house and risked everything, but I did, why? The question hung between them. The same question he had asked before, but deeper now, more personal. Because a child shouldn't have to carry the weight of her father's death alone, Ji-eun said quietly. Because I know what it's like to be 7 years old and terrified and not believe. Because when Zara looked at me, she saw that I could see myself. And I couldn't walk away from that. Michael moved closer. You never told me why you really understand her. My mother was killed when I was 6. Car accident, officially. But I saw things, heard arguments. I knew something was wrong. No one believed me. Ji-eun's hands clenched. It turned out she had life insurance. Significant policy. My father benefited from her death, and I spent years wondering if I could have saved her if someone else had listened. Understanding flooded Michael's eyes. So when Zara told you, I had to listen, had to act, had to make sure another child didn't lose a parent because adults dismissed her truth. I'm sorry for what happened to you. It made me who I am, Ji-eun straightened, which is someone who finishes what she starts. Seoul is arrested. You are safe. Zara has peace. My job is done. What if I don't want it to be done? Her heart stumbled. What? Michael closed the distance between them. You do not belong in this world. You said it yourself. But these past weeks, watching you with Zara, seeing how you move through danger, the way you think strategically, I am not Mafia material, she cut in. No, you're something better, he paused. You're someone my daughter trusts. Someone who kept promises when it was dangerous. Someone who looked at me and said, neither do you, when I told you that you didn't belong. What are you asking? She asked. Stay. The word was raw, honest. Not as staff, not as protection. Just stay. Let us know you. Let Zara have the friends she needs. Let me... He stopped. Swallowed. Let you what? Ji-eun whispered. Let me get to know the woman who walked into my house to save someone she barely knew, who fought beside me, who made me listen to my daughter, who changed everything. Ji-eun's pulse hammered. Michael, he cut in, I'm not asking for promises or commitments or anything you're not ready to give. Then his voice softened. I'm just asking you not to disappear, to give us a chance to see what this could be. This is insane, she said. Probably, he smiled. Genuine, unguarded. But you infiltrated the Mafia household to investigate poisoning. Sanity isn't your strong suit, young lady. She laughed, despite herself. Fair point. So, will you stay? Ji-eun looked toward the door, where normal life waited, then back at Michael. at this impossible situation and the choice before her. I need to make a phone call first, she said. Hannah answered on the second ring. Please tell me you're alive and not calling from a morgue. I'm alive. Thank God. When are you coming home? Ji-eun stood in the garden, yellow roses blooming around her. Seoul's evening lights beginning to glow. That's what I need to talk about. Silence. Then, no. You don't know what I'm going to say. You're going to say that you're staying in the Mafia house with the poisoned kingpin and his traumatized daughter. Hannah's voice rose. Have you lost your mind? Possibly, Ji-eun answered. Hannah continued. Ji-eun, she needs me, Hannah. Zara needs someone who believes her, who sees her, who doesn't treat her like a prop in a father's world. That is not your responsibility, Hannah responded. Maybe not, but it's my choice. Ji-eun touched a rose petal, and he asked me to stay. He, Hannah's tone shifted. The kingpin, you mean, the kingpin asked you to stay. His name is Michael. Oh God, you have feelings for him. I don't know what I have, Ji-eun exhaled slowly. I just know that walking away feels wrong. That Zara feels like if I left her, she'll feel abandoned. That something here matters in a way business consulting never did. You could die. I almost died 3 days ago. I killed 2 men, saved lives. Felt more alive in that chaos than I have in years of boardrooms and contracts. Hannah was quiet for a long moment. You are serious? Yes. What about your business? Your apartment? Your actual life? Sublet the apartment, Ji-eun said. You can handle clients for a few months. If this doesn't work, I'll come back. Ji-eun paused. But I need to try. Need to see what this could be. This is insane. You said that when I infiltrated the house. And I was right. But it worked. Ji-eun smiled. Sometimes, insane is exactly what's needed. Hannah sighed. Deep, frustrated, resigned. Fine. But I want weekly check-ins, video calls, proof of life. And if anything feels wrong, yellow flowers, I remember. I'm serious, Ji-eun. These people are dangerous. I know. But they are also human. Scared. Trying to survive. Ji-eun said, looking back at the mansion. And maybe I can help them do more than just survive. Maybe we can all actually live. You are a terrible best friend, you know that. I know. I love you too. The call ended. Ji-eun stood in the fading light, holding the choice she had already made, committing to a path that terrified and exhilarated her in equal measure. She turned back toward the house, toward the 7-year-old who needed friendship, toward the father learning to trust again, toward something undefined and dangerous, and possibly beautiful. Dinner that night was different. For the first time since Ji-eun entered the Adefemi household, meals weren't served by silent staff to isolated family members. Instead, Michael had Madame Choi set the table for 3. Informal, almost normal. Zara sat between them, practically vibrating with suppressed joy. You're really staying? She asked for the 5th time. For a while, Ji-eun confirmed. To see how it goes. What made you decide? Michael asked, pouring wine for himself and Ji-eun, and juice for Zara. Well, your daughter is very persuasive. She gets that from me, he responded. Zara grinned. I get everything good from you, Papa. The scary parts too. The scary parts especially, he agreed, ruffling her hair. They ate simply. Korean dishes Michael had somehow learned to cook, served without ceremony or performance. Conversation flowed naturally. Zara talked about her studies, her frustrations with mathematics, her love of reading. Michael listened with complete attention, asking questions, offering gentle challenges to her thinking. Ji-eun watched them together and saw what Seoul had almost destroyed. Not just a life, a relationship, a bond forged in grief and strengthened by survival. What about you? Zara asked suddenly. Do you have family, Ji-eun? The use of her first name felt significant, personal. Not really. My mother died when I was young. My father passed 5 years ago. No siblings. So you're alone too, Zara said softly. I have friends, a business partner, but yes, mostly alone. Michael's eyes met hers across the table. Not anymore. The words settled between them. Not a promise, not a declaration, just a statement of present reality. Zara yawned, fighting exhaustion. The past weeks had drained her, carrying secrets, witnessing violence, processing betrayal. Now that safety had returned, her body demanded rest. Bedtime, baby, Michael said gently. But I'm not tired. Another yawn contradicted her. Yes, you are. Come on. He stood, lifting her easily despite his healing injuries. She wrapped arms around his neck, already half asleep. Night, Ji-eun, she murmured. Good night, Zara. Michael carried her from the room. Ji-eun cleared plates, moving through the kitchen with familiar efficiency. Madame Choi appeared, raised an eyebrow. You're staying, she stated. Yes. As what exactly? I do not know yet. Madame Choi studied her with those sharp eyes that miss nothing. He's a good man. Dangerous, but good. His daughter is everything to him. I know. Do not hurt them. It wasn't a request. It was a warning. I won't, Ji-eun promised. Madame Choi nodded once, and then left Ji-eun alone with dishes and thoughts. An hour later, Michael returned to find Ji-eun on the balcony, overlooking Seoul's glittering chaos. He joined her, 2 glasses of wine in hand, offering one silently. She's asleep, he said. First peaceful sleep in months, I think. She's been carrying too much weight, Ji-eun said. Because of me? Because I didn't listen. He drank, expression distant. I keep replaying it. Every time she tried to tell me, every time I dismissed her concerns as jealousy, I was so focused on what I wanted, a mother for her, a partner for me, that I couldn't see what was real. You see it now, because you forced me to. He turned, studying her profile. Why did you really stay? The truth. Ji-eun considered her answer carefully. Because when I was 6, no one listened to me. And I spent 20 years wondering if I could have saved my mother, if someone had taken me seriously. When Zara told me her truth, I had a choice. Ignore her like everyone ignored me, or break that cycle. So this is about your past. Partially, she said, meeting his gaze. But it's also about right now. About a child who needed someone to believe her. About a man who is learning to trust again. About the fact that when violence came, I didn't hesitate. I didn't freeze. I moved like I was supposed to be there. You were supposed to be there. Maybe, she paused. Or maybe I'm just someone who has spent years playing it safe and finally found something worth the risk. Michael moved closer. Am I part of that risk? Her pulse quickened. Yes. Does that scare you? He asked. It terrifies me. Good. His smile was slight, genuine. I'd worry if you weren't scared. This world, my world, it's not safe, not stable, not predictable. I know, she said. But you're staying anyway. Yes. Why? He asked again. Deeper now, more personal. Ji-eun set down her wine, turned to face him fully. Because for the first time in years, I feel like I matter. Not as a consultant solving problems, not as a professional playing roles, but as a person making a real difference in real lives. You matter, he said quietly, more than you know. The air between them shifted, tension building, possibilities multiplying, the space shrinking. Michael, I'm not asking for anything, interrupted gently. Not tonight. Not until you're ready. I just need to know that you walking into my life changed everything. I need you to know that. For me. For Zara. For what our future could be. I can't promise forever, she said. I'm not asking for forever. Just now. Just this. Just a chance to see where this goes. Ji-eun studied his face. Handsome. Dangerous. Surprisingly vulnerable. A man built from survival who had forgotten how to live until his daughter reminded him what mattered. Okay, she whispered. Now, this, let's see where it goes. He smiled. Real, warm, hopeful. That's enough. They stood on the balcony as Seoul's night deepened. Two people learning to trust after years of wars, finding something unexpected in the ruins of danger. 2 weeks became a month became 3. Ji-eun formally dissolved her consulting business, transferring clients to Hannah with generous referrals. Her apartment was sublet, her life restructured around something she couldn't quite name but refused to abandon. She wasn't staff, wasn't family, wasn't quite partner. She was something undefined and evolving. Zara thrived. Weekly therapy sessions helped process trauma. Michael listened. He really learned to listen. Really listen when his daughter spoke. The household relaxed, staff moving less like robots and more like humans. Seoul's trial proceeded slowly through Seoul's legal system. Her connections really did try to intervene, but the evidence was overwhelming. Toxicology reports, documentation, testimony. She would face decades in prison. Michael's health recovered. The thallium slowly cleared from his system. Color returned to his face, energy to his movements, life to his eyes. And somewhere in those months, in quiet conversations and shared meals, and moments of crisis, turned to laughter. Something shifted between Michael and Ji-eun. Late night talks on the balcony became routine. Video calls when he traveled became essential. The space between them, physical and emotional, gradually closed. One evening, 3 months after the arrest, Ji-eun found Michael in his study working late. She brought tea, set it beside him. You should rest, she said. So should you, he answered. I'm not the one recovering from poison. she gestured. He smiled, pulling her gently into the chair beside his. "I've been meaning to ask you something." "What?" she asked. "In all these months, you've never asked about my work, my business, the parts of my life that are questionable." "Because I don't care," she said. "You should. It's dangerous, illegal, not something—" "I know what you are," she interrupted gently. "I know. I knew when I infiltrated your house. I'm not naive, Michael. I'm choosing you despite that. Or maybe even because of it." "Why?" he asked. "Because underneath everything, the power, the danger, the empire, you're a father who loves his daughter completely. A man who chose justice over revenge. Someone learning to be human again after years of survival." She paused. "That's who I see. That's who I chose to stay for." His hand found hers, fingers intertwining. "I keep waiting for you to realize this is insane and then just leave." "I realized it's insane months ago," she said, "but I'm staying anyway." "Why?" She smiled. "Because crazy is where I found purpose, where I found family, where I found you." He drew her into himself, held her face up, and touched her lips with his, soft, careful, asking permission with every moment. She answered by pulling him closer and deepening the touch of their lips, choosing him with every breath. When they finally pulled apart, both of them slightly breathless, he rested his forehead against hers. I don't know how to do this," he admitted. "Relationship, partnership, letting someone in. Neither do I," she answered. "But we'll figure it out together." "Well, what if I mess up?" "Then we'll fix it. Because that's what people do when they care." He smiled. "You make it sound simple." "It's not, but it's worth trying." 6 months after Zara first whispered her father's death sentence at a Seoul gala, Ji-eun stood in the same garden, that same garden, tending yellow roses, while the child who had changed everything read beside her. "Ji-eun," Zara asked, not looking up from her book. "Yes?" "Are you happy here?" Ji-eun paused, considering the question honestly. "Yes." "Are you? Are you?" "Yes." Zara finally looked up, smiling. "Papa is too, I can tell." "How?" Ji-eun asked, smiling. "He laughs now. Real laughs, not polite ones. He listens when I talk. He's not scared anymore." She paused. "Thank you. Thank you for believing me, for staying, for making him see." Ji-eun knelt beside her. "You saved him, Zara, not me. You were brave enough to tell the truth when no one listened. You, Zara, are the hero of this story." "We both are," Zara said simply. "You and me. We saved him together." "Together," Ji-eun agreed. Michael appeared in the doorway, watching them with an expression that spoke of gratitude and love and hope. "Dinner's ready," he called. Zara jumped up, running toward her father, and Ji-eun followed more slowly, yellow rose in hand, heart full. This wasn't the life she had planned. It wasn't the future she had imagined. It was better. Because sometimes the best stories begin with a child's whispering warning, a consultant's insane decision, and the courage to believe when no one else would. And if you felt every moment of this journey, if Zara's courage moved you, if Michael's redemption inspired you, If Ji-eun's choice resonated with your soul, then do not forget to subscribe to this channel. Drop a comment telling us which moment hit you the hardest. Was it Zara's first warning? Was it the attack? Was it the arrest? Or maybe the balcony confession? For our lovebirds, let us know. Hit that like button if you believe in love built on trust, family forged through crisis, and the power of listening to those who seem too small to matter sometimes. Because here at Afro-Korean Storytales TV, we tell stories that remind you that courage comes in all sizes. Love appears in unexpected places, and sometimes the bravest thing you can do is believe someone, especially when the world tells you not to. Thank you for being here today.